It was a chilly winter evening in a small town nestled at the base of snow-capped mountains. The Rivera family, like most evenings, was gathered in their cozy living room. The fireplace crackled softly, casting a warm glow over the room. Emily, the youngest, was curled up on the rug reading her favorite book, while her older brother, Jake, played a video game. Their parents, Sarah and Daniel, were in the kitchen, discussing plans for the upcoming holiday season. In the midst of this homely scene was Whiskers, the family's tabby cat. Whiskers wasn't just any cat. He was a part of the family. Sarah had rescued him from a shelter 5 years ago, and since then, he'd been a constant source of joy and comfort. He had a peculiar habit of observing everything with his keen, green eyes, as if he understood far more than he let on. That night, the wind howled outside, and snowflakes danced in the air. Inside, the Riveras were oblivious to the silent danger creeping into their home. A faint hissing sound, almost imperceptible amidst the chatter and laughter, emanated from the basement. The old gas heater, which had been functioning well for years, had developed a leak. The invisible gas began to fill the house, seeping into every corner. Whiskers was the first to sense that something was wrong. His ears twitched, and his nose quivered as he picked up the faint, unfamiliar scent. He jumped down from his perch on the windowsill and began pacing the room, his tail flicking nervously. At first, no one paid much attention to his behavior. "What's up, Whiskers?" Emily asked, scratching his head absent-mindedly. But Whiskers didn't respond with his usual purr. Instead, he darted toward the basement door and began scratching at it furiously. Sarah noticed and frowned. "That's odd. He's never done that before." "Maybe he's chasing a mouse," Daniel suggested, pouring himself a cup of coffee. But Whiskers' agitation didn't subside. He ran back to the living room, weaving between their legs, letting out sharp, insistent meows. Then, he darted toward Emily and tugged at the hem of her sweater with his teeth. Emily giggled, thinking it was a game, but when she saw the urgency in his eyes, her smile faded. "Mom, something's wrong with Whiskers. Look at him." By now, Sarah and Daniel were paying attention. Whiskers ran back to the basement door, scratching and meowing even louder. His behavior was so unusual that it unsettled them. "Maybe we should check it out," Daniel said, setting his coffee mug down. He grabbed a flashlight and opened the basement door. As soon as he descended a few steps, the smell hit him. It was faint but unmistakable. His heart skipped a beat. "Sarah, get the kids and the cat out of the house. Now." The urgency in his voice sent chills down Sarah's spine. She didn't ask questions. Scooping up Whiskers, she ushered Emily and Jake out into the freezing night. Daniel rushed to open windows and doors, trying to ventilate the house, but the cold air couldn't counteract the rising danger. Outside, the family huddled together, their breath visible in the icy air. Whiskers squirmed in Sarah's arms, but she held him close, whispering soothing words. "It's okay, Whiskers. You saved us." Daniel emerged moments later, coughing and shivering. "We need to call the gas company," he said, his voice tight. "It's a major leak." "We were so close to—" He didn't finish the sentence, but the gravity of the situation hung heavy in the air. As they waited for help to arrive, Sarah's mind raced. If it hadn't been for Whiskers, they might have gone to bed, unaware of the deadly gas filling their home. The thought made her stomach churn. She glanced at Whiskers, who seemed unusually calm now, as if his mission had been accomplished. When the gas company technician arrived, he confirmed their fears. "You're lucky to be alive," he said grimly. "Carbon monoxide is odorless and deadly. It's a good thing you got out when you did." Emily hugged Whiskers tightly, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You're our hero, Whiskers. You saved us." The cat, as if understanding the gravity of his actions, nuzzled her face and let out a soft purr. The next morning, the family's home was filled with the lingering scent of the gas that had nearly taken their lives. Sarah and Daniel made the decision to replace the old heater immediately. The memory of the previous night's events weighed heavily on everyone. Over the next few days, the story of Whiskers' heroism spread through the town. Neighbors stopped by to marvel at the brave cat who had saved his family. The local newspaper even ran a story titled "The Feline Hero of Maple Street." Whiskers didn't seem to care about the attention, though. He was content to curl up in his favorite spot by the fireplace, basking in the warmth and love of his family. For the Riveras, life returned to normal, but they never took Whiskers for granted again. Sarah often found herself watching him with a newfound sense of gratitude. "He's not just a pet," she told Daniel one evening. "He's family." Daniel nodded, stroking Whiskers' fur. "I've always believed animals have instincts we can't understand." He's proof of that. Years passed, but the memory of that night remained vivid in their minds. Whiskers grew older, his once sleek fur peppered with gray, but his spirit never dimmed. Emily, now a teenager, often shared the story of her brave cat with her friends. "He's the reason we're here today," she'd say, her voice tinged with pride and emotion. One winter evening, much like the one that had changed their lives, Emily sat by the fireplace, now old enough to fully grasp the enormity of Whiskers' actions. She stroked his fur gently, whispering, "You're my hero, Whiskers. I'll never forget what you did for us." On a quiet summer afternoon, as Whiskers lay in the garden, soaking up the sun, Sarah sat beside him. She ran her fingers through his fur and whispered, "You've given us so much, Whiskers. More than we could ever repay." Whiskers blinked slowly, his green eyes filled with the wisdom of a life well lived. And though he couldn't speak, the look he gave her said everything: love, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between a family and their courageous cat. Whiskers' legacy lived on in the hearts of the Rivera family. As they sat around the dinner table years later, the tale of that fateful night became a cherished story, retold with laughter and tears. Whiskers, their brave tabby cat, was a reminder that sometimes the smallest creatures could make the biggest difference.